Welcome to Bricolo Garden Center. My name is Jay. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to talk about a subject that a lot of people have questions about. I had a phone call today even. What do I do about my hydrangeas? Which ones do I prune? What types do I have? How do I care for them? So, perfect timing because they are starting to force their little buds in the greenhouse here. We're going to talk about the 6 types, and I'll hopefully show you a demonstration of each one. And the 6 types are going to be the macrophylla, or big leaf, or mophead. It's got a lot of names. And then the mountain, or serrata, or lace cap. That's our 2nd type. Our 3rd type is the arborescent, or smooth. And our 4th type is going to be our paniculata, which is our panicle or cone-shaped ones. Our 5th type is going to be our corsifolia, which is our oak leaf hydrangea, easily identified and gorgeous fall color. And our 6th is going to be a climbing hydrangea. So let's get started about the macrophylla or big leaf. This guy blooms on what we call old wood. That is, he formed the blooms, he or she, or it, formed the blooms last fall, and you wanted to trim it before August, to shape it before August 1st. Otherwise, leave it alone. Some people suggest covering it with a little straw or leaves or pine needles or whatever, and kind of putting a cage around it or just mounding it up to protect it, because this tip right here, this is where the blossoms are going to be formed. So, the only thing I'm going to do on this, you can see these new ones are forming buds right there and leaves. I'm going to trim right to that junction. I'm going to cut all these old blossoms off. They're not going to do anything, and I want to cut right to the green. So that's the benefit of being able to see that green. See how this one doesn't have a tip, but it's got a little bit of greenery right there. I'm going to still take it down here. You might sacrifice the blossoms for this year, but next year it'll be a better shape. This I'll leave alone because that tip may be viable. I want to leave that one alone. And it looks like a little arrow, and you can see that these side shoots are really growing nice and green. So I'm going to carefully take all these down to some green. This one I took all the way so I could see, get this one a little bit of air. I cut the center all the way down, and I cut that one at the leaf node. This one I'm going to cut right here. You can see the difference of this stem is weak and it flopped over. We want a nice sturdy stem. This one could be trimmed like that. Another thing with macrophylla is inside. You see these dead ones? Look at that. I'm looking for those kind of hollow, weak-looking ones, and I'm going to go in there and either break them off or cut them down to the ground so that I can have some airflow, and it'll put more vigor into all the other blossoms. And one of the ways I can tell is either I snap it, I can tell that's dead, or I could do a fingernail or a pruner scrape. So if I'm looking to see something's alive and it doesn't have the green, but I'm looking, I'll give it like a little slit right there. I'll flip it up and look at the bright green under there. You see that? That tells me, can you see that? See the bright green underneath? That tells me that that's well alive, that I just smooth that down and it heals just like a paper cut. So that's a good way to tell if it's not snapping, it's flexible, it's still alive, and there's some green. Okay, so that's mophead. You don't trim it except for the next year. You're going to cut off the spent blossoms down to the live green. Leave it alone up until August 1st. You have a little shaping you can do, but leave it alone. It's going to bloom on old wood from last year. The new improved ones, like Endless Summer, you can do a little more pruning because they'll bloom on new wood as well this season. All right, our next one is going to be our mountain or lace cap type. And this one is, again, going to bloom on old wood. So it formed it last year, and we're going to just trim up these old spent blossoms. Look, you can almost see it's kind of a broken, spent stem right there. So I'm going to take it right down, and you can see how nice and green that is right there. That's nice and green and bright. And I'm going to give this one a little bit of a shaping. I'm cutting right to the leaf node. This guy has a vigorous, but you see how I'm keeping the shape a little bit random, but I'm keeping the shape of that hydrangea. I want that fullness to stay. Cutting right at the leaf nodes. All these blossoms. This one is dead right to that, so I'm going to take it right there, cut those side shoots. See, it's got green, So I'm going to cut it to that node. I'm going to keep that, and those little leaves in there, those can stay for protection. This one, I suspect that it's dead. I'm going to take it out. Thin and spindly and twisted, I'm taking them out. This is our lace cap or serrata, and what you can see is you've got the fertile, little tiny flowers and the infertile, big petaled flowers. There are two types of flowers on that lace cap. All right, so that's our second type, old wood. Don't do too much. You can shape it a little bit, but you're going to take off the spent blossoms and any other dead stuff. There we go. That's pretty good. All right, this one is another macrophylla. This is bloomstruck. It's one of the newer varieties, like Endless Summer, and it's going to be blooming on old and new wood. And again, I'm just going to take it down to those leaf nodes, taking off those spent blossoms. If there are those arrowhead type buds, I'm leaving those. Like this one, that's a viable blossom. I'm going to leave it. But this guy's got to go down to the leaf node. And my pruners are really sharp. That you got to have a good, good tool to do the job, and you always have to know what your other hand is doing. And so we got macrophylla and serrata, the mountain type. Right next to us is he's a little droopy, but this is the oak leaf hydrangea, and you can tell that beautiful red color it had in the fall, purplish red, and it's got that oak leaf cut leaves. And this one blooms on old wood too, and you don't want to do too much. It takes a rangy shape, 4 to 6 feet, and so it really doesn't need much. If you really hate the fact that it's getting too rangy, you can trim it, but it's going to take a while to recover. So we're going to let it go. This guy's got a little shape to it here, and these will all fall off on their own accord, and we're just going to leave it. If we have to pluck off those old leaves, that's fine. So oak leaf is another one that blooms on old wood, so it's really pretty easy care. So, I mean, can't be any easier. We love our hydrangeas, hundreds of varieties. This one is our this is our arborescens. So this is one of our smooth leaf hydrangeas, and as are these Invincible rubies. They're smooth leaf or arborescent. And guess what? You can chop these down hard. They bloom on new wood that same year, and you want those stems to be really sturdy. So you coppice them or really cut them down pretty sharp. So we're going to take this one. This one's already been cut quite a bit. You can see that there's no nodes coming out yet because it's blooming on new wood. Just like paniculata, it's going to take a while to develop because it didn't have last year to form. So it's going to take a while. So we can cut this and it won't care. So just take it right down just to give it a good shape. Got a little bud right there. That's about it. Take anything spindly that's not going to support blossoms. Give it a good chop. Take that one right down. This one, new wood, this year's blossoms, this year's stems. You can take it right down to about 6 inches. And it'll reward you with beautiful, sturdy blossoms. Same with this guy. This is a lace cap. That's the type of flower, not the variety of the type like macrophylla or serrata. But this is a lace cap on a smooth or arborescent hydrangea. And so this guy, we're going to take him all the way down because he is going to bloom on new wood. So we're taking it harsh right down. I am looking for a little bit of nodes or a little bit of sign of life here. But it's going to be very forgiving. It's not going to worry about holding it against us, that we're giving it a good chop. And if I do see a leaf node, I'm really trying to reach it at that junction. All right, we got one more here. There, we've taken that guy right down, and he will forgive us and reward us. Yeah, that'll be fine. Same with that one. So, we've gotten the smooth, the oak leaf, the macrophylla, and the serrata. We've got 2 more to go. Paniculata, I know it sounds like a lot of Latin, or maybe a pasta dish. Paniculata, doesn't it? Anyway, I'm getting hungry. So we've got the smooth, or the climbing hydrangea, and we've got the paniculata or panicle. So we're going to go up front and check those out. Here's our climbing hydrangea. And you'll see that this guy, he's not been kept in a greenhouse. He's out here in the elements. And he has got these tiny little fingers that hang onto the wall. See, he's glued right on there with those little tiny fingers that grab little fibers. And this can climb up to about 30, 40 feet, given how many decades it'll be old. And you can cut certain sections of it and replant it. I've done that successfully. And it really doesn't need trimming. We decided to leave this guy on the ground because he's such an integral part of it. But you could cut stuff that's, let's say it's going up the tree too much, or it's going in your gutter or something like that, and it's got to be cut out. So you could do that. But this one, you can see, is starting to get some real thickness to it. There's a really good close-up of all those little fingers that are looking to grab onto something. And it's just sensing that it can climb along this wall. And it's really starting to get thick. These can get, like a trunk of a tree, they can get very thick. And these buds are going to form lots of leaves and some white flowers, so we do not touch this. It blooms on old wood. Unless it's a little errant branch that you want to get rid of, don't trim it. All right, next one. This is Hydrangea paniculata, the panicle hydrangea. And it's going to have these older blossoms on it that came from last year. And it blooms on new wood. So this one's, we're going to trim a third of the growth off of it, and we're going to try to go to a junction. There's not really any leaves showing or nodes, but we're going to try to go to at least a nice shaped junction of about a third of the growth. And you'll see when I cut it, there is some green, and I'm going to just give it a good third cutting. Right there I see a node. I'm going to give it a little chop. This one I want to stay pretty tall, and so I'm going to be judicious on how much I take off. Blooms on new wood, and it'll reward us this year with some beautiful blossoms. Again, this is a sun lover. If you guys need more information, call us. We got lots of ideas for you, or come see us at the garden center, or take one of our classes. They're really popular, and we'd love to see you there.